everybody, in this video we're going to learn about how to find slope from a graph, from an equation, and from 2 points. Alright, are we ready? So finding the slope from a graph, there is a saying that we need to remember. It is rise over run. Every single time you have 2 points on a graph, you are going to rise and run. So let's start there. A reminder of what slope is. Slope is just how steep a line is. So like think about your treadmill. Here is super easy, and then as you increase the slope, things get higher because it gets a steeper line. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about slope. Okay, when we're looking at a slope, we have a couple different options. We have a positive, which is going uphill, and a negative, which is going downhill. A good idea before you even try to find the slope is I want you to tell me, is it a positive or negative slope first? That way you can check your answer at the end. This guy right here is going downhill. If you imagine a little guy here and he is walking, he is going down. So we are going to say that this is a negative slope. So I'm going to put a NEG for negative up there. And now I can do my rise over run. We need to pick 2 perfect points on a graph. They have given them to me here. And now I'm going to kind of make a triangle. Okay, we're going to rise first. So I'm rising in the down direction 1. So I'm going to call that -1. And then I am running 1, 2, 3 to the right. So altogether my slope, usually we use M to represent slope, is going to be -1 over 3. My check is that it's a negative slope and I have a negative number, so I'm going to go on. All right, next one. Again, they gave me my 2 perfect points. Make a triangle, and then we're just counting the number of boxes in between. We are doing rise first, so I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 up. To the right 1. It is a positive slope, so I should have a positive number. 3 divided by 1 can simplify to 3. That is positive, so I know that I'm doing good. All right, next one really quick. Rise over run. Draw your triangle. You're counting the boxes where I'm going 1, 2, 3 boxes down, so that's a -3. To the right 1, 2. It's a negative slope, so I'm going to have -3 over 2. Negative number, good to go. Oh, Miss Kish swiped too far. Sorry, guys. Hope you guys didn't get dizzy. Okay, really quickly, here's our last one of this type. We're going our box. It's a positive slope, so I'm going to put positive on top. I'm counting my boxes. 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2 over. My slope is 3 over 2. Fair enough. Okay, looking at the next one, something is different here. So notice I have a flat line. I know it's kind of hard to see on the computer. That is the line that we are looking at. What? So I'm going to show you 2 different ways. One, we are going to pick 2 perfect points. Here's my 2 perfect points. Any 2 perfect points on the line. I'm going to rise. Guys, I'm not rising any, so I'm really rising 0. And I'm running, let's count that as 1, 2, 3. 0 divided by 3 is 0, so my slope here is 0. When you have a flat line, I want you to think of a treadmill. When you're going for a run and you set the treadmill at 0, it is flat. Once you start putting the incline up, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're going up a hill, that's when it starts to get hard. But think of flat line, slope is 0, like a treadmill. All right, this next one, really quickly, I can do my triangle. It is positive. We have seen this before. I'm counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 up. 1, 2, 3 over. So my slope is 7 over 3. I'm going to let you guys do this one. It should be a negative. And then lastly, oh my gosh, I did it again. Sorry, I'm going to make you guys dizzy. Okay, the last one, again, if it's hard to see, this is what we're looking at. There is my my line. So I'm going to try and find the slope. Again, I'm going to show you the long way, and then I'll show you how to remember it. So you're going to pick 2 perfect points. So I don't know. Let's pick these 2. Rise. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 down. So let's call it -3. And then how far am I going to the left or right? 0. If you put anything divided by 0 in your calculator, you are going to see error, error, error. That is because we cannot divide by 0, and we are instead going to write undefined. That is a really, really important vocabulary word, so if you have not written that down somewhere, I would definitely write that down. Anytime you have a up and down line perfectly, I want you to imagine you dropping an egg from the top of a tower. It is going to break and splat, and it is going to be undefined. So those are the two weird ones. Flat is 0, up and down is undefined. Okay, let's move on to a different type. So if you need to use a break right now, take a quick break, and then we're going to go into something new. All right, here we go. So we're going to find the slope of each line. I'm going to show you how to do it mathematically, and then I'm going to show you how to do it in your calculator. We're going to do one mathematically first because it is important that you know. Your slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Guys, that is so, so important. You are going to use that all through your math career. So put it in your brain now so you don't have to memorize it later. And fun fact, you can skip through this if you don't want. Do you know why that formula comes from? Woo. So you remember how we did rise over run? Your y's are how far you're rising, and your x's are how far you're running. So if you were like, oh, I forget to put the y's on top or the x's on top, just remember rise over run. You're rising up and down, which is your y's, and then on the bottom, you're running with your x's. Not fun? Okay. Here we go. So we are going to always label our points x and y. Remember, our points are x and y. Well, this is the first point, so I'm going to label this x1, y1. And then my second point, x comma y, is x2, y2. We're just going to plug those into the formula that I just wrote above. So my slope is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Filling that in, I get 14 minus 10 divided by, here are my x's, 7 and 8. So I'm going to do 7 minus 8. I'm going to clean up the top first. So on the top, I have 14 minus 10, which gives me 4. On the bottom, 7 minus 8 is negative 1. And if you divide that, you will get a negative 4. That is option number 1. I would like to show you guys option number 2, so I'm going to try and remember these. Negative 3, 1, negative 17, 2. Okay, so I'm flipping gears here. Let's see if I can pull up my calculator. I want you guys to get a calculator if you do not have one. No, thank you. I don't want an ad. Here we go. Okay, we are going to go to our button that says Stat. So it's kind of right here in the middle. Oh, nice. It's in red. Okay, and we're going to click Enter for Edit. And we are going to put the x values in the left column and the y values in the right column. I have already forgotten what the values are, so I'm sorry for moving around. Okay, my x values, if you can see it right there, negative 3, 1, and then negative 17, 2. The x values are negative 3 and negative 17, so I'm going to type in negative 3, negative 17, and then now I'm going to go to my y values. So again, here are my y values. My y values are 1 and 2, so that's what I'm putting into my second column. So I'm going to tab to the right, and I'm going to put 1 and 2. Is it positive or negative? Positive. Okay. And then after that, I'm going to, again, click Stat. I'm going to tab to the right to say Calc. And then I'm going to go down to 4. 4 stands for LIN, which is linear. We're looking for lines, so that makes sense. Click Enter. You're going to click Enter a lot of times. And then, look at that. It gives you your slope, negative 0.07. So that is also an option to use if you want to use your calculator. Now, sometimes, like this one, it's going to give you a really, really crazy number. We're looking at the A value, and that is why it's really important that we also know how to do the formula correctly. So I just wanted to show you guys that if you ever needed it. But for the next couple, we're going to continue to use our formula because that is most important. Okay, again, we are going to first, let me give this a second to catch up. Okay, here we go. Back up and running. Okay, Here is my x of my first point, my y of my first point, x of my second point, y of my second point. Now I can go ahead and plug it into the formula. We are subtracting the y's first. So I'm going to do slope is equal to 2 minus 1 divided by my x's, negative 17, minus a negative 3. This is where you need to be really careful. The formula already has a minus. Y'all see this minus right here? I need to make sure that if the x1 is minus, I put minus a negative. Okay, we're going to clean up the top. 2 minus 1 is 1. In the bottom, negative 17 minus a negative. Two negatives make a big positive. So I'm going to say that adds together is a negative 14. And then we can say that's the same thing as negative 1 over 14. That's why we got that really long decimal, because that is not a nice number if you were to type it in your calculator. Okay, we're going to do one more of this kind. Again, label x1, y1, x2, y2. We're going to put it in our formula. We are first subtracting our y's. M is equal to negative 10 minus from the formula. Then I'm putting a negative 4 from my point, all divided by, here are my x's, negative 12 minus from the formula, and then negative 20 from my point. I'm going to clean up the top. Two negatives make a big positive. Negative 10 plus 4 is a negative 6. On the bottom, again, two negatives make a big positive. So negative 12 plus 20 is a positive 8. This is where we can either type it in our calculator and get a decimal. So if you do negative 6 over 8, you're going to get negative 0.75. Or, like we talked about in the last video, you can click the math, enter, and it's going to simplify your fraction for you, which is going to simplify to negative 3 over 4. So math, enter is your friend, especially when you have unsimplified fractions. Okay, again, we're going to pause if you need a pause. We got one last thing to do, and I promise it is super easy. Okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is when we are trying to find the slope in an equation. So a reminder, this guy right here, y equals mx plus b, it should sound familiar because that is the slope-intercept form of a line. It is called that because it literally gives us the slope. Remember, m, we've been talking about as our slope, and b is our y-intercept. The b is not really important today, but it will be in later videos. Okay, we're looking for the value in front of x, okay? In number 1, super easy, the number in front of x is negative 5. So you're going to say, Miss Kish, the slope is negative 5, and we are done. Next one, again, we're looking for the value in front of the value in front of x. M is equal to 1/3. This guy, be careful here, really, it looks like negative nothing when there's nothing there. Remember, we know that that's a negative 1, so my slope here is negative 1. 18, my slope here is negative 2/3. And oh my gosh, Miss Kish, what is going on here? So these last two are not in y equals mx plus b form, but we can make it in that form. We are going to pretend that we're solving an equation for y to get it in the right form. So we're going to go back to solving equations like we did in the last video. We are going to put a box around y because that is my goal, to get that by itself. I can't move anything that's touching y, so the 3 needs to stay. I want to take this guy and move him to the other side. I don't want to split 2x, I want to keep the whole thing. So if it's a positive 2x, I'm going to do the opposite of positive and subtract 2 x's. If I do it on the left side of the line, I also have to do it on the right side of the line. They are going to cancel on the left, so I bring down my 3y. On the right side, we have a conundrum. We cannot combine a number and a number with an x. They are not like terms. So I'm just going to keep them apart. I'm going to put negative 2x. It's a positive 9, so I'm going to put plus 9. and that looks really close to what we want. I am going to now split the 3 and the y. Remember, they're multiplying, so the opposite would be to divide. Divide by 3. Everything on the right side needs to be divided by 3. That is really, really important. So when I rewrite this, you can also think about this as negative 2x divided by 3 plus 9 divided by 3. The y is the only thing left on the left side. I cannot simplify negative 2 over 3. That's my slope, and that's going to stay. If you really wanted to be an overachiever here, we can actually simplify my last term. 9 divided by 3 gives me 3. There's my slope-intercept form. We're only looking for the slope, so it is the value in front of x, which is negative 2 over 3. All right, guys, we made it to our very, very last one. Y'all stay with me really quick. We're drawing our line. We have a box around y. I need to move the 5x to the other side. I'm going to do the opposite of the positive 5 and subtract 5x's. I do the same thing on the right side. I am going to bring down my 2y's. I cannot combine on the right side a number and a number with an x, so they stay apart. So I have negative 5x. This guy is positive, so I'm going to put a plus 6. I need to lastly get rid of the 2, so it's multiplying y. The opposite is divide. Everybody on the right side gets divided by 2. If you want to, you can write that as divide by 2, divide by 2. I prefer to do it this way. On the left, they cancel. I have a y. On the right, I have negative 5 over 2x. Cannot be simplified. And then if we really wanted to, 6 divided by 2 is 3. And my slope that I'm looking for is in front of x. So my final slope here is negative 5 over 2. Cool, guys. All right, that is the end of this video. If you have questions, please come find me or ask your teacher. If not, I will see y'all in the next one.